guys, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to The Wandering Reader and welcome to another weekly reads video. I just want to apologise first of all. I did mean to put a video up on my channel on Friday, but unfortunately when I came to edit the footage to the 2 videos that I filmed last weekend, the second video that I filmed was completely out of focus the whole way through, so it was just unusable, and actually the last, I would say, 3 or 4 minutes of the weekly reads video that I put up last Monday was also out of focus, so I had to refilm that one, which I did at the beginning of this week and put it up on Monday, but I just didn't have time in the second half of the week to film. So, you know, it is what it is, you know, and I was really annoyed because my camera's never done that before, and I don't know, it stopped filming halfway through my weekly reads video because my memory card was full, and then it was out of focus after that. So I don't know whether it had something to do with that or whether it had something to do with the fact that, I don't know, the battery was lower than, I don't know. Anyway, it was a whole thing. So just wanted to apologise about that, but I've got a few different videos coming up on my channel this week, and hopefully that will compensate for me only putting 1 video up last week. But we're going to jump into all of the things that I read this week. So I finished 2 books this week, the first of which was the audiobook for Little Deaths by Emma Flint. I'd been listening to this since before Christmas, and this is what people have described as a literary thriller, and it focuses around a situation where 2 children go missing from their mother's apartment, and you know, the blame, very quickly the blame and suspicions kind of arouse around the mother, and you know, whether it was her or whatever. You do find out in the very opening chapter of the book that the mother is in prison, so you know, the assumption is that she's been convicted for something. And the whole way through the story very much focuses on the idea of her being what society might deem a bad mother, you know, because she doesn't conform to the normal kind of motherly conventions when it comes to, you know, dedicating your life to your children, not having a life outside of that, dressing in a particular way, acting in a particular way, and I thought the commentary on that was really good. I liked where the author was coming from when it came to the idea of, you know, a mother is a mother. Yeah, there are bad mothers out there, but just because you dress a particular way doesn't make you a bad mother. And I quite liked also the commentary in there on the way that police and the justice system in America in the 1960s was really quite unfair, and you know, based on a lot of circumstantial evidence and things like that. And I just, yeah, that whole kind of thing really opened my eyes a lot to the way that police investigations were conducted. I don't know whether there was anything particularly literary about it. I did like the way it was written, but I didn't think it was anything spectacular. Yeah, interesting story. I really liked the ending. It ended well. I didn't see the ending coming. In fact, I kind of clocked onto what the author was trying to get at about 10 seconds before they then told you what the kind of twist was at the end. So yeah, I thought it was a worthwhile read. I don't really understand why it was shortlisted for the Women's Prize, but then I suppose, you know, they're trying to kind of cover a lot of genres and things like that, and I suppose also that they are looking for books that aren't always the most literary things in the world, and that's a good thing in my opinion. So I kind of jumped around a lot in that, but I think you know where I'm coming from. So yeah, I did enjoy this overall, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I also DNF'd a book this week. So I decided in the end to DNF The Girl with the Red Balloon by Catherine Locke. I still got my bookmark in here. I got 80 pages into it, and I wasn't looking forward to picking it up during the week when, you know, this week was my first full week back at work, and I think Keren summarised it really nicely in her last reading vlog, that when you go back to work after a holiday period, that first week back is really, really knackering, and that is really true. It tends to be, the first week back at term tends to be a really, really busy anyway. So yeah, I had no motivation to pick this up whatsoever, and when I did pick it up before bed, I was reading 3 or 4 pages of it before I fell to sleep. So yeah, it just wasn't working for me. And I actually watched a video from Rincey over at Rincey Reads, but it was on, I think it was part of the Book Riot channel. She does some videos for Book Riot. She did a video a few months ago, it was kind of on my watch later list, about how she reads so much. And one of the things, you know, I mean, it's obviously a video that I've watched from a lot of people before, but she talked about in that video the fact that, you know, if she's not enjoying a book, she'll put it down because life's too short and there are too many other books that she wants to read. I mean, I have heard people talk about that before, obviously, but I think it was just the right video at the right time for me, and after watching it I just kind of thought, yeah, this is not working for me anymore, so I'm going to put it down. I very much doubt I'm going to pick it back up again. I just don't really care about the story or the characters, and this was a damaged copy of the book. It's got some water damage down the bottom, so it's not a book that I particularly want to keep on my shelves either. So I think I'm going to see if my husband wants to read it, and if not, I'm going to donate this. The other book that I finished this week, I actually finished this morning, and it is New York Actually by Sarah Morgan. I decided to pick this up, especially when I was kind of deciding what I was going to do with The Girl with the Red Balloon. I needed something that was going to hold my attention a bit more and get me back into the swing of reading, and Sarah Morgan's books do that for me every single time. This is the 4th book in the From Manhattan with Love series. We're starting to follow a new group of women in this one. So the first 3 books were focused around a group of 3 friends that were starting a new business in New York. This one focuses around a character called Molly, and Molly has a Dalmatian called Valentine, and every morning she goes for a run in Central Park, and Daniel, who is a divorce lawyer, also goes for a run every day in Central Park and has noticed Molly there, so he borrows a dog in order to get her attention, because he's been trying to get her attention for 2 weeks and she's not really noticed him, so he decides to borrow a dog off of his 2 sisters who own a sort of a dog walking, dog babysitting type service, in order to try and get her attention. And it's about the relationship between the 2 of them. Really heartwarming, so easy to read like they normally are. I'm completely captivated by the story, and as always, Sarah Morgan writes characters that have real depth to them. So there are things going on in their lives that are really kind of complex and that have deeply affected them, and they're trying to kind of work through their problems in this. And yeah, I love them. So the next 2 books in the series I've ordered from my library, so I'm looking forward to picking those up, and I gave this one 4 stars. On to things that I am currently reading. So I have started Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. So for those of you that saw my goals video, one of my goals for 2019 was to read all 6 of Jane Austen's novels. Sense and Sensibility is obviously the first one that she published, and I'm actually reading the physical copy of this as well as listening to the audiobook at the same time. So yeah, I had a lot of comments on that video about how the audiobooks for this for Jane Austen's books are really good. So the one I'm currently listening to is narrated by Rosamund Pike, and she's doing a really, really good job. So I'm just reading a chapter of this every day. So every day I get home from work, at some point during the evening I'll pick up my copy of this, plug in my headphones and read a chapter of it, and it's a really good way of reading it for me so far. A lot of the chapters at the beginning of the book have been quite short, you know, 4, 5, 6 pages, something like that. So I may be listening to about 10 minutes of an audiobook before I put it back down again, but I'm really enjoying it, consuming it in that way. So I'm currently on page 42, and in case you're not aware, this follows a couple of sisters called Marianne and Eleanor, And at the beginning of the book they have to move with their mother to Devon because their older brother has taken over the property that belongs to their father, and his wife has moved in. His wife is not a particularly nice woman, so they decide that they're not going to kind of crowd things, that they're going to move to this new property. And I think it's going to kind of follow Marianne and Eleanor's kind of adventures is the wrong word, but like kind of like jaunts into love and relationships. I think that's what it's going to kind of cover. So I'm quite enjoying this so far. Like I said, I'm on page 52, so I'll have read another few chapters of this by the time I speak to you next week. So I probably won't speak about this every time I do a weekly reads. I'll kind of update you periodically, but I am really enjoying this so far. In terms of my audiobook listening, I am slowly making my way through Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doherty. I started listening to this before Christmas, but other audiobooks came in from my library and I had to put it down. I've got about 2 hours left on this now, and this is a book all about Caitlin's experiences working in a crematory in San Francisco in America, and she talks a lot about the death industry. Basically she talks about what's involved in a cremation and different things that go on to do with, you know, when people die, and the processes involved and different kind of experiences that she's had along the way. It's to use a word that I've used in a couple of recent videos, it's quite confronting. So if you don't particularly want to read about the reality of death, then I might not pick this up, but I quite enjoy listening to how things work. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that so far. I've got about 2 hours left on it, so I'm hoping to finish that off this week. And then the last book that I want to talk to you about today is I started a body read of Normal People by Sally Rooney with Lisa from over at Books and Smiles. She messaged me when I hauled this in my December book haul and said that she had a copy of this from NetGalley and really wanted to get around to it and see what all the fuss was about. So did I want to buddy read it with her? And of course I jumped on that opportunity. So I've only read the first couple of chapters of this yesterday evening, so I'm 20 pages into it so far. And I didn't read the synopsis for this or anything, so I had no idea about what this was about. But at the moment we're following a couple of characters who I can't remember the name of. There we go. There's a girl called Marianne and there's a boy called Connell, and I think they're about 15 years old. They're in secondary school, high school. I think it's set in England, isn't it? Oh, it's a small town in the west of Ireland. Okay. And Connell's mum does the cleaning at Marianne's house. So he comes over to pick his mum up when she's finished her shift, and that's the only kind of relationship that occurs between him and Marianne. They kind of talk a little bit just before he has to take his mother home, but when they're at school he completely ignores her, and so basically does everybody else. She's a bit of an outcast at school, not that she really cares that much. And I think it's going to be about their kind of friendship and relationship, but I'm not really too sure at the moment, because like I said, I haven't read an awful lot of it. I'm only on page 20 of this so far, but I'm looking forward to getting into it a lot more and discussing my thoughts on it with Lisa and seeing what all the fuss is about, basically. So there you go guys, that is all of the stuff that I have read and I'm currently reading. I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments below. What are you reading at the moment? Thanks very much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.